I'm Felicia.
I'm Ian.
And we are the Paranormal Lovers.
Hey guys.
Hey guys, how's it going? We are the Paranormal Lovers, and this is our first inaugural episode. We are a husband and wife duo out of Western North Carolina. We are lovers of all things paranormal, spooky, conspiracy, aliens, whatever goes bump in the night. We are a fan of it.
It's true.
So we figured we wanted to get together and do this little podcast. We're going to focus on some UFOs, conspiracies, ghosts. We are going to do a lot from the Appalachian Mountains, which is what we call home, and it's somewhere that is very near and dear to both of our hearts.
Good old Smokies.
Woo! So, for our first episode today, if anybody has already started following us on Instagram, for one, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate all 15 of our followers out there. That's pretty awesome. I was going to do Love Pass because, I'm a little obsessed with that whole thing.
She is. She likes it a lot.
We'll do that another day. But actually, since it's our first episode, I wanted to start us off with something a little closer to home. So, Bill... And for anybody who's curious, we call each other Bill and Belle. It's just a nickname we have for each other. So, Bill.
It's an ongoing joke.
You've heard of Boojum.
Yeah.
Our very own Sasquatch over here in Western North Carolina. There's a small mountain county called Haywood County over right on the Tennessee line in the Great Smoky Mountains National Forest. Once upon a time, there was a railroad community called Balsam. We know Balsam. We love Balsam.
Yeah.
It's part of the Blue Ridge Parkway. You can go up there and see the lovely sights and hike. But there was a small
Just don't in the snow.
No, you can't get up there in the snow, so that's not even a problem. There's a small railroad community called Balsam. Now it's just a couple of buildings. I think there's like a church and the Grand Old Balsam Inn. But back then, people would hear noises. Lots of weird noises. And we've heard some weird noises living in these mountains. You've got bears and coyotes.
Foxes.
And foxes.
Foxes are the creepiest one.
But this was something different. This was something a little new. It sounded kind of like the mix between a monkey and an owl. Whatever that would be. This was actually... These reports were actually reported as far away as Eagle's Nest Mountain, which is... How far would you say Eagle's Nest is from Balsam? Probably 5 or 6 miles.
It's not far.
There was a hotel that was out there. Mr. Satterthwaite of Waynesville had built the Eagle's Nest Hotel in 1900 up on what is now called Eagle's Nest Mountain.
I never knew there was a hotel up there.
Yeah, there was a hotel up there. It was a 40-room hotel, and guests at the hotel would actually report hearing these noises around the hotel and throughout the mountains. Sadly, the house did burn down, or the hotel did burn down in April of 1918. So, back in the 1900s, especially in the rural areas, they didn't have running water, electricity. So you had to go to the creeks, the streams, and a lot of women would go out and they'd go bathing in these creeks and streams, and they would hear a rustle or something, and then they would turn around and they would see the face of a giant hairy man.
Terrifying.
Watching them take a bath. So that's Boojum. He's over 8 feet tall. He has long, shaggy hair everywhere but his face, which looks much like a human, like most Sasquatches. Obviously, most women, when you turn around and you see a big hairy man staring at you naked, you run.
Sounds like my high school mascot.
I mean, yeah, definitely. But this was just old Boojum. He was lonely. He liked to watch men bathe, or women, probably some men, maybe some men.
Maybe.
Mostly women bathe. But there was one woman who was not frightful. You know, most women, they would run screaming. They would go back to their village. They'd tell their men. And, you know, these good old country boys, well, there ain't going to be no creeper out there watching our daughter, our sister, our wife. We're going to go get him. Well, Annie, dear sweet Annie, she didn't do that. She saw Boojum. She looked at Boojum. She looked into his big, kind eyes, I guess, and was like, he's just a lonely man. I think I'm going to marry him. So Boojum got him a lady. And that would be Annie. Obviously, Annie's family was not very happy about it. They were very outside. They were very upset that she wanted to go run off and live in the mountains with a hairy mountain man.
Sure.
Yeah. So Annie went out and she lived with Boojum. They had a good life. But fortunately for Annie, Boojum had a mistress. Can you guess what Boojum's mistress was?
Who was his mistress?
Boojum's mistress is the precious and rare minerals and gems that come out of western North Carolina. Rubies, emeralds, sapphires. Western North Carolina, obviously, were mountains. Lots and lots of mountains, and mountains have lots and lots of ore.
Yep, there's a lot of gem mines here.
There's gems. You can maybe find some precious metals. But Boojum liked his gems, so Boojum would go hunt for his gems. And Boojum would be out for days at a time, probably, and he'd get real lonely. So Annie came up with a call, and I will not try and attempt this call.
Should try it just for kicks and giggles.
How about you try it just for kicks and giggles?
Tell me what it sounded like.
Well, it sounds like a cross between like a monkey.
The monkey and the owl.
The monkey and the owl. They say you can still hear like a hooting screech. So the noise
It's like a hoot.
Is a hooting screech, and reportedly that's where the term hootin' Annie came from.
Oh,
when you're having
gotcha.
hootin' Annie, you know, you're having a party, you're having a shindig, it's loud, it's whatnot out there in the woods. Well, it's a hootin' Annie because when Boojum was away from home, Annie would go hoot for him out in the woods.
A hoot and a holler.
A hoot and a holler. But yeah, so that's how that word came about, hootin' Annie. It's from Annie going out to call in for her love. You know, people up at the hotel, the Eagle's Nest Hotel, they reported hearing the call and the return call, I guess, from Annie and Boojum.
A hootin' and a hollerin'.
A hootin' and a hollerin' out there. And allegedly, there's a possibility that Boojum and Annie had children. So, you know, if you're still curious, you could go for a little hike out on the Blue Ridge Parkway in the Balsam Mountains. Maybe you might hear
see some
hootin'
Boojum
Annie.
kids.
You might see some Boojum kids. Now, Boojum loved his gems, right? And he liked to hoard his gems. So, Boojum would stick his gems in the bottom of a very beautiful jug, a very beautiful jar that is well known and popular in the mountains and within moonshining communities.
It's a ball jar.
He'd stick his, well, you know, like the brown jars, like your parents have one at their house.
Oh, like a
The
moonshine
old
jug.
moonshine jugs. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So he'd stick his gems at the bottom of a moonshine jug, fill it up with moonshine. Now, of course, you know how mountaineers are sometimes. They're going to go out looking. They're going to go out hunting. They're going to walk across a cave. They're going to find a moonshine jug. You think they're going to dump it out?
No.
Ain't no mountaineer, ain't no moonshiner
They're going to have a hoot and a holler.
in their right mind going to dump out a whole bottle of moonshine. So,
Or a hoot nanny.
a hoot nanny. You come across this jug of moonshine in a cave, and you're like, there's gems in this, but I can't just dump out this moonshine. I'm gonna have to drink it.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah. So, excuse me. People would drink it, and then, you just pass out. So Boojum just strolls in, and Boojum just strolls in and grabs his bottle and leaves.
They have moonshine from here, they'll definitely pass out.
That is true. That is true. So, if you're ever out in the woods, you hear a sound, might be Boojum. Sounds like hootenanny, hooting and hollering. If you get some rocks thrown at you, which is something else Boojum likes to do.
Could be a mountain party. Could be a Boojum.
Could be a Boojum. Also, if you come across a jug of moonshine in the woods...
Yeah, don't drink it.
Either don't drink it or just, settle down for a long nap. That's all
Probably go
I'm
blind.
saying. Now, Boojum is not the only Sasquatch that's even relative to our area. Not far from here, not really in the mountains, more the foothills in Shelby, in between Shelby and Hickory. And I apologize, I have actually never heard of this place in North Carolina before. It's either Cesar or Caesar. It's Casar. Cesar, maybe? But it's a town in North Carolina. They have, his name is Knobby.
Knobby?
Knobby. Knobby is over 10 feet tall, and he has yellow-gray fur all over, except for his face.
Huh.
And there is actually a news report that we will post down in the show notes of this episode, and you can find the link there to go watch the news report. I believe it was a CBS station went there to do a story on Knobby. Because Knobby, he's mild-mannered. He just likes to walk around. And there was a police report of a man that found him in his backyard. And he went out there and went after him with, a broom or a stick. And literally, pushed him out of his yard. And he didn't do anything.
Huh.
He just chilled. So, he's either outside... Oh, yeah, the guy went outside. He pushed him around. And yeah, so, Boojum is not our only cryptid in this state.
Cool.
I'm definitely, you know me, cryptids are a big, big thing for me, so that might be a lot of what I talk about in our episodes, and I did not realize North Carolina had so many cryptids.
Right.
But what do you think about Booj, babe?
That's pretty cool.
Have you ever, I know you've been hiking out there.
I know it's a good restaurant in Waynesville.
Yeah, we do. I forgot about that.
We have a restaurant named Boojum.
Yeah, it's actually a brewery and restaurant. You can order there. You can come by if you're ever in Waynesville, North Carolina.
It's right on Main Street.
You can come by and get some of their locally brewed alcohol. They have some good food too.
And some pictures and shirts of Boojum.
Yeah, you can even get some Boojum merch over there.
Yeah.
Also in Marion, North Carolina, which is also down the road a few ways from us, they have a yearly Bigfoot convention, which I also did not know until I started researching this episode. And I'm like, I want to go.
The only thing I know about Boojum is my friend Justin was out in the woods one time, and he had a rock thrown at his head. And so they got real scared and just took off on their mountain bikes. But that's the only thing I know about them, really.
There are a few other...
And I don't know if it was Boojum or if it was a different type of Bigfoot. He just said he thought it was a Bigfoot because it was a really big rock.
Yeah, that's something I've definitely heard from other podcast episodes and stuff about Sasquatches, is they like to throw rocks.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess if you're a mountain man that lives up in the woods, you just use what weapons you have at hand, and if you can rip a boulder out of the ground and throw it.
I mean, if you're that big, then you might as well hunt with what you got.
Yeah, seriously. Who knows? Maybe we'll head out to Balsam sometime and go up there and see if we can run across old Booj.
That'd be kind of fun.
Booj. I had a friend call him Booj the other day. She's like, I'm so happy you're talking about Booj.
We've both had friends that work at the Balsam Mountain Inn, which is a place that he might hang out in Balsam somewhere.
Yeah, definitely be interesting. We're definitely going to talk about that. It's actually now called the what is it? The Grand Old Lady Inn.
Yeah, I think it's the Grand Old Lady Inn now, but used to be the Balsam Mountain Inn.
That will definitely be something we talked about. We will talk about in the future.
It's supposedly haunted too, but
yeah, it's a beautiful place that's been there for many years, and somebody found it several years ago and restored it. But that is a place I would like to go investigate, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
It's supposed to be pretty spooky, and there's still supposed to be some stuff going on around that place.
There's lots of cool places in the woods of Western North Carolina.
Oh yeah, and with us being from Appalachia, there's a lot of history. There's a lot of lore in this area, and I don't hear a lot about it.
Yeah.
Which is one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this podcast. I've lived in North Carolina my whole life, 36 years, from the coast to the mountains, and I didn't know about 5 cryptids in this state, and we have dozens.
Yeah.
That's insane. But of course we will touch on other, places around the world. I said Love Pass. I know that you wanted to do some aliens and...
Oh yeah, I'm a big alien guy.
Conspiracies.
I think the first episode I'm gonna do is on the Brown Mountain Lights, and it's gonna be pretty good. I've been there before, and yeah.
That'll be fun. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us for our first inaugural episode of The Paranormal Lovers.
Thanks, guys.
We appreciate you spending your time with us today. If you feel so inclined, please follow us on Instagram at The Paranormal Lovers. Send us an email at theparanormallovers@yahoo.com. And if you have any personal listener tales or personal stories about ghost encounters or alien encounters or cryptid encounters,
especially in North Carolina.
Oh yeah, especially in North Carolina, but honestly we'll take them from across the globe because,
yeah, we'll take any stories. We'll read it. It's pretty cool.
I am enthralled with everything from other countries, but definitely North Carolina as well. And if you're in Western North Carolina, that would be, or anywhere in the Appalachian Mountain Range, really.
Yeah, it runs all up and down the east.
Oldest mountains in the world, they're over like 40 million years old or something.
Something like that.
We're small, but we're old. That's why.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thanks you guys for listening, and we will see you next week.
See you guys.